The 1980s were an amazing time for kids. I should know. I was there. You can tell by the grey in my beard. With cartoons such as He-Man, Transformers and Mask, you had to be good to stand out. I'm Phil, and welcome to NGR's look at a brief history of the cartoon and various video games of Centurions Power Xtreme. Centurions began life in 1986 with a 5-part miniseries. After this became popular, it was followed by a 60-episode series, produced by Ruby Spears, whose back catalogue contained classics such as a Police Academy animated show and the Mr. T series. Classics. The show spawned comic books from DC and also various video games, which we're going to come to a little bit later. Following the exploits of Max Ray, Ace McCloud, Jake Rockwell, our heroes battle the ongoing efforts of Doc Terror to take over the world. The main characters are aided in their missions with the use of an exosuit. In this, they can be equipped with various pieces of weaponry, conveniently just what the characters need to help them defeat their foes. Max is a sea operations commander, Ace uses the skies, and Jake Rockwell works on terra firma. A little later in the lifespan, two other additions to the team, two other additions to the team, Rex Charger and John Thunder, but hey, who cares about them anyway? The Centurions' base was Skyvault, where the operator, Crystal Kane, used a transporter to send the trio the requested weapon systems, usually flanked by Jack's dog, Shadow, and Lucy the orangutan. I mean, why wouldn't there be an orangutan in space? Makes sense. There's the usual mix of action that you'd expect from a kid's cartoon of the time, with a blend of peril and danger, only for the good guys to come out on top all the time. The series was released on DVD, and like I said earlier, we had a range of comic books, but the killer app for this series was the toys. Larger than most on sale at the time, they certainly stood out. Me and my brother got Ace and Jake to play with in a day, and if you want to go and revisit your youth, they still fetch a pretty penny on eBay to this very day. There's a Christmas present if anybody wants to send me some. Of course there were video games that had to follow, and after the break we're going to be covering them in a little bit more detail.
Centurion! Power Xtreme! Man and machine!
Evil Doc Terror and hacker battle Centurions Max Ray and Ace McCloud. The Centurions call for more powerful weapons. Energize. Max gets Tidal Blast. Ace gets Orbital Interceptor. They strike back with added firepower. Max by sea. Ace by air.
Centurion! Power Xtreme! Man and machine!
Figures as shown, other toys sold separately, new from Kenner.
Centurions Power Xtreme was released at the height of Centurion mania in 1987. Released on the Commodore 64, the Spectrum and the Amstrad CPC, published by Rector Software, all three versions followed the same premise. Find some keys and get the hell out of a maze. Think Gauntlet but with exosuits. Filmed from a top-down perspective, the game sees you control Jake, Ace or Max to kill enemies and find keys with the ultimate goals of getting through the exit. The Amstrad and Commodore 64 had 3 levels, while the Spectrum only had 2. There are various power-ups you can collect, all based on the artillery you will see in the show, and they're randomly dropped after you kill enough enemies. The game gives a strategy element as you can only use certain Centurions at certain points depending on the terrain they're trying to cover. You can't use Jake to fly over holes, for example. Once you've collected the correct colour keys, you can then progress to the next level. The Amstrad version's okay, the Spectrum version, well, see for yourself, but the version that you need to play is the Commodore 64 port. The loading screen is great, but there's no in-game music, likewise with any of these early versions. graphics aren't great, but the game plays well enough. The game's easy enough to pick up, but it will take time to master. It's a good blast, however, I feel the license could have been better used. It's a real shame there weren't more games to use the Centurions license, or even more episodes produced, but this series definitely holds its own against the more popular cartoons of the time. Fire up an emulator and get ready to get Xtreme. So, for NGR, I've been Phil, don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'll see you next time.